Hello everyone and welcome back to our Burton Albion England DNA series. Right, I'm excited for this one. We're going to talk a little bit about the results that we've had off camera, and then we're going to talk a bit about the long-term training program and how we're going to turn our current one-week schedule into a season-long thing and show some real-life, I guess, resources is the best word, to show how you might go about structuring it over a season and how we might try and do that in FM. So we'll get into that. I think we'll get into that first. Okay, so what you can see here is a 24-week block of training planned out based on a team that has one session per week. So if anybody that's coached at grassroots level, or even like leagues that are between sort of academy and grassroots and the league in the middle, most of those teams still only train once per week, right? So now I've done the schedule in two different ways. Now the reason I've done that is I want to explain to you how the two different ways you go about doing a long-term plan when it comes to player development and trying to focus on certain areas of the pitch. And it was an interesting discussion that came up my UEFA B, which I thought was an interesting one. And then you can decide for yourself which one you would do if it was real life. And I don't know, it might just be like an interesting little thought process for you. So I'm going to minimize this now. You've hopefully read that a little bit there so you can see the pitch. So you see how it's split into 3/3 here. So as we've got here in our plan, let me just now maximize it back out. It says here that in the first 4 weeks, effectively, that's 8 weeks there. So the first 4 weeks, the first month, we're working on in-possession defensive third, right? That's what it's saying there. And it's going to focus on the left-hand side units, right-hand side units, the central units, then transition into out. Now, if you worked at an academy, you would have 3 or 4 sessions per week, sometimes 2 maybe as well, depending on if you're category 3, 2, or 1. But generally, you're going to get 2, 3, or 4 sessions per week, depending on the time of year and how many matches you've got, that kind of stuff. So players in an academy are effectively getting a month's worth of work within 1 week compared to the average Sunday League players. So when you get Sunday League grassroots players going into an academy at ages 11, 12, 13, 14, that's really impressive because they're getting literally a quarter of the work in terms of actual raw minutes in what they're doing, and also not at the same level, maybe by coaching, but definitely not by players they're playing with and against, right? So that's why it's always impressive. But anyway, that's a different topic we're getting into there. So here anyway, so we've got in-possession defensive thirds for the left-hand side units, then right-hand side units, then the centre, then a transition into out. So basically, we've worked on it, working for 3 weeks, now it's broken down. Now how do we react when it's ruined effectively? And after that, we've got weeks 5, 6, 7, 8, where we go out of possession in the defensive third. So you still be working with, as you can see here, the defensive units, as I'll just minimise this now. So we're still working with basically defensive players and defensive units mainly. The left back's actually just hidden. Let me just move him so you can see him. So then that would be, now you can work in with the defensive part of the team and you're working out of possession, but again in the third. So you stay basically working the first 4 weeks in this third, but in possession. Then the next 4 weeks is in this third, but out of possession. So the pros and cons, the pros of that would be that you're working with the same players over a long period of time. So they're going to get a lot of good coaching and a lot of consistent coaching, like back-to-back effectively. The downside is you're doing 8 weeks in a row of working with primarily the same players. That's where blended coaching and blended practice comes in, which is where you start to coach other parts of your topics and your themes with the other players that aren't quite involved in the session. That's, again, we'll go into that at a different time maybe. But yeah, that's something that you could do, is you could do that. So you focus basically on your backline for 4 weeks in possession, then backline 4 weeks out of possession. Not just backline, because you obviously, if you're out of possession, you're in third, you're going to expect to have more than just backline there, you would hope, anyway, defending. So there's other elements to it, but that's generally one way you could do it. Now let's look at another way you could do it. So how is this one different? What have we got here? We have got the same 4 weeks are exactly the same. We've got in possession defensive third. So it's in possession defensive third, playing out from the back, that kind of stuff, building your attack. I've then the defensive, middle and attacking third just to make it really clear. And if people, I don't know, if people are watching this in subtitles or English isn't their first language, it's easier to identify which one I mean rather than building, creating, and final third, for example, things like that. I'm just going to try and keep it simple. So defensive third is your own third. Let's do this here. So yeah, defensive third is this third, but your own third. Middle third is middle third, and then attacking third is the final third closest to the opposition goal. Just so that's clear in case there's any confusion there. So we have got the same 4 weeks, and then out of possession. This is different now. So we've now got weeks 5, 6, 7, and 8, and now out of possession, attacking third. So why is that so different? We've done the first 4 weeks of building from the back and playing out from the back and all that kind of stuff. And who would they have been playing against, those players? They would have been playing against your attackers who would have been pressing in the final third. So they would have been already doing the same thing there. So as you can see, we've got a front three I've just put in there just to sort of show it. So if you were doing the first 4 weeks on building from the back, you would have been doing it with the same players here, roughly speaking. And then what would these lads have been doing? These lads would have been working on out of possession in the final third. Just that wouldn't have been your theme, that wouldn't have been your topic, but that would be naturally what they were doing because that's the opposite of what you were doing as your main focus. So how would this work here? So now you've just done the 4 weeks of this, and now you're going to be working on the complete opposite of that. So you've just worked 4 weeks on playing out from the back, and now you're going to be effectively coaching against that. You're going to be working on how to press it, how to stress test that. And at the same time, then, of course, they're going to make mistakes, right? The players who just worked on playing out from the back of the defenders over here are going to definitely still make mistakes. So you're still going to be having opportunities to go in and correct. And it still gives you a chance to reaffirm and reassure players and add extra layers of understanding to your training. But at the same time now, that if they're getting it really good, now you're going to really go after them. And at the same time as well, while you're doing those first 4 weeks with the defenders, what could you be doing at the same time? If they're finding it quite good, you could start already coaching ahead of time the attackers, where you're going to say to maybe you say to the left winger, look, when the ball goes to the right back, maybe you move 10 yards inside and you cut off the pass and into the middle, so he's got to play it to his winger. Maybe you start to drip in little bits of coaching. So effectively, by the end of the 8 weeks, because you're coaching the opposite side of it, you could put yourself in a position where you've added so much good understanding that after 8 weeks, both sides of that get it really well. Just a way you could do it instead. It was a debate on the B license. I thought I'd show it to you. And the reason I'm showing this to you is it might be interesting. And if that was interesting, do let me know if that's the kind of stuff that you want to see, because I'm not going to deliberately try and force things in. But if I'm going to apply it somehow in FM, that's when I'm going to show it, because it's relevant. Like, I could have just done what I'm going to do and not shown that to you. But I just thought it was better to show you why I'm going to try and structure this into the game. And again, we're not going to do this right now, but this is going to be in the plan. So long term, how would I apply this into FM, for example? Would I spend an entire week on the left units? Well, first of all, we can't really pick that, right? It's not as easy to pick exactly who you want to work with in terms of the unit. So we can't really do what we'd like to do. In fact, let me show you a session of how you might then structure that. So that's the generic, plan of how we're going to work on the first 4 weeks and then the next 4 weeks. And it just continues down all the way through. So this way round, you would then go on to weeks 9, 16. So you'd have in possession, middle third, out possession, middle third. Again, you're literally working on the opposite to each other the whole time. And it's the same there again. You're just doing the opposite way around of your first 8 weeks effectively for the last one there. So why is it 24 weeks, for example? Why would you pick 24 weeks? Seems like quite a weird number to pick. So if you do a 24-week block, if your primary focus is all about player development and nothing else. So here we're not even mentioning matches. But what you would do is, let's say week 3, you have a match here. You have like a preseason friendly or whatever it is. You would only be looking really at the outcomes. I'm talking about youth football and specifically really here grassroots, but this could apply to academy as well. Academy, you would definitely do this, but there'll be more detail on it. But you would only be really judging the match and the performance of the players based on what you've worked on. So, for example, in week 3 here, if you've played a preseason friendly and your goalkeeper has just gone long 3 times from a goal kick, completely ignoring your instructions, and you've scored, you may want to think about how you offer the feedback to the player, considering that's not what you worked on, that's not what you were intending to do, and intention versus outcome. So the outcome was good because you won the game, if that's what you care about, if that's about the result. If it's about player development, you say to the player that they've got to find ways to have success in the ways that you've asked them to play, for example. There might be a good reason for it. It might be that the other team literally pressed you man for man as high as they could, and they left you 1v1 at the back, and then then it's a decision for you as a coach. Do you go, okay, fair enough, that's where the space was, or do you go, I don't care, that's what you're doing at all costs, and that's a decision for you to make. In any case, that's what you'd be looking at here. But 24 blocks, so why 24 blocks? So if you do 24 2 times in a row back to back, if you were to repeat this in the second set of 24 weeks, that gives you 48 weeks, right? And then 48 weeks leaves you 4 weeks left for the year. So what would that be? In football manager terms, that would be June, the month of June. Because in June, the players don't train. So we don't need to have a 12-month plan, because in the game, there's going to be 4 weeks where they don't play. Again, this isn't designed for Football Manager. This was something I've got from somewhere else. But the same principle applies of that's what we're going to do. We're going to have basically 2 24-week plans, 2 24-week blocks stacked back to back, and that's going to carry us to the season. And we're not going to change it or edit it for matches. Obviously, there'll be times in the season when we play 2 games in a week, and I have to rest the players for maybe 2 days, so they lose 2 days of training, which would be a slightly disappointment. But if we're focusing chunks of the training on one topic, then they should still get enough out of it in that moment. Now, am I going to do it every week and change? I'm not entirely sure I'm going to follow this exactly yet. It might be that in a week we could do a month's work, for example, right? Like we just said before. So rather than me spending a whole month on in possession defensive third, maybe I could do all that in a week. So I'm going to have to change how I do that for the training schedule of the game, within the game. But yeah, that's generally, I just wanted to show you what we're going to do. So 2 24-week blocks, 1 month off, and that's how we're going to structure it. Then obviously the first parts of it will be pre-season, and a professional team, you definitely need to make sure you get some sort of pre-season stuff in that would be different to your regular training. So I just thought I'd show you this. Now, this is actually taken from my UEFA B license course. This is one of my sessions that I had on the course when I when I passed it a few years ago. The actual session plan is 8 pages long. I'm not going to go through all that with you. I just looked. It was 8 pages and over 1,000 words just for one session plan. So yeah, that's the detail that I like to go into for my session plans before a session. But in terms of what we're going to look at here, it's just how you might go about doing that. So the moment of the game we've got here, goalkeeper's got the ball, a primary player is a right centre-back, a primary unit is right centre-back, left centre-back, CDM. This is in a 4-3-3 single pivot. Think about that. Second unit is left centre-mid, right centre-mid, right? And those on the pitch used. Don't worry about the actual numbers, but you can sort of see what we've got there. So if you were given that information, but you weren't entirely sure what the topic was, you would get a pretty good idea there of if you think back to our sort of like 24-week block, you know that the goalkeeper's got the ball to start the session mostly. That's the moment of the game that we're focusing on the most. And we're using pretty much all our central units, but not the striker. So that would indicate probably goalkeeper, probably defensive third, maybe middle third, but mainly defensive third, you would think. Could be middle third, actually. Could be either of them. But primary unit and primary player gives it away, I suppose, with that. So that's what you would do, and you would use a session based mainly around your central units. But you'd have coaching points for all your players, but sometimes they might be long-term development points. So an academy in particular, each player will have the one or two things they've got to be focusing on the most. So if you've got a winger in this session on the opposition who you're not really using in terms of the main part of the session, they have still got some incredibly crucial points for them, either within the context of the session for them to improve on, or specifically at the very least their own individual points, right? But here anyway, what we've got is a session based on the central units of the team, and that's how we would do it. And that's how that would look. That would probably be, I guess, week 3 of the 24-week block. So that would be in possession defensive third, and it would be the central units you're focusing on the most. So that's what that would be there. And you would have just spent time on the left and the right. And obviously when you're working on the left and right units, if you're working with the right back, right wing, who's going to be in that group as well? Probably right centre back as well, right? So they've already got bits of coaching. It's just that in this session, you're primarily focusing on the middle. I just thought I'd show you that because I don't know if I was going to show you that again at any point, and I just thought it might be nice. Might be of interest to some people. Maybe some people can skip past this. I'll never know. So yeah, taking all that into consideration, how would that look? So I think here what I would start to do is do effectively a month of what we just looked at in a week and try and break it through there. Like we can't focus on left, right, centre, but that doesn't matter. We don't need to really in terms of the game. So if I was doing playing out from the back, let's go back to week 1 of the 24-week schedule. I would probably definitely go play out from the back, ball retention, ball distribution. I think those 3 would be in there quite early, but because it would be in pre-season week 1, what you would probably mix in is you wouldn't do all those necessarily on the same day. Maybe it's the first session on each day is those, and it's just 2 fitness ones there. Then maybe day 3 you go, I don't know, maybe possession, and then you focus that then with 2 like team bonding things, maybe these sort of things as well. So you start mixing that stuff in, maybe some set piece stuff. Pretty nice set piece stuff actually for early in the pre-season. But I will eventually. Basically, I was trying to show you my thinking and how I was going to work it out and how it's going to look eventually. But eventually, it'll be 2 24-week blocks, and I'll make it available for people to download if they want to use it. And the most important thing to think about is that it should always be evolving. That if I'm not entirely satisfied, I can always change it. You can always change it. I think the biggest problem that coaches face, I think in England in particular, is once something works, they don't want to have the courage to then still try to improve something that's already working. They don't have that sort of push and desire to. And it's really easy to sit somewhere and say that to somebody who's in a position where their job's on the line, right? So it's easy to say. But if you were to go and read a book on Pep Guardiola, that's something that he talks about all the time, about the need to have courage, that when things are going well, to still look to innovate, still look to improve, right? So it may not be that I set it up and it just stays like it, but I'll set it up anyway. And if I'm happy with it, it could stay there as well, right? It's at the end of the day, the game is going to work the way that it is, and we're going to judge whether we're happy or not. And I say we because I'm sure you're going to tell me, look, Jack, I don't think that's working because of this, this, and this. And absolutely feel free to put your thoughts in. Like I said, it's not something I normally focus on too much, is the training. So this is an interesting experiment for me as well. In terms of the individual training, I've done it already. So all you would have seen me do anyway, you just literally click on a play and move them on to the next set. So they're all on their second set of individual focuses now. Some players have changed positions, so that's affected them a little bit as well. Now, one thing that's an interesting talking point is, do you put somebody on their role that they're playing or something close to what they're playing that you think is best for them? Or do you just leave them on their player position because it might change and there's a lot of other things that might come into it as well? Do let me know what your thoughts are on that. I've not done it for some, I've done it for others, just to sort of see. I've got to be honest, our youth players are developing pretty well. And I'd say that they're getting good returns on their training at the moment. And some players, like Victor, has consistently improved. or not improved in terms of actual attribute, but he's always trending up and he's always got decent match ratings and training ratings. Pick an example. Where's Terry Taylor? There he is. So Terry Taylor has consistently had downward things on him the whole time. I've just switched him to actually have like a position role duty to train to. Now, if he starts to improve, at the very least on the things that it says, my concern about doing it right is that when the game is telling you it's going to focus on only these things, always the fear is that, okay, well, he's not going to improve on the others. Now, he still can because, or I think at least that he could, because there'll be sessions that he's involved in where they're not just working on those things. But that's the only thing that concerns me is doing that. I'd rather him just work on generically everything. But when it does try to apply something to him anyway, but yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things that like, when it graphically tells you this is what's going to work on, like for him, for example, I want dribbling in that role. In fact, can I make him an attack? Would that get him dribbling? No. But then again, dribbling is part of his individual training plan, right? It's within his 4 things that he does across the year. One is dribbling, one's quickness, and one's passing, right? So he's going to get the things that I need to from the individual. So do I just put them in their roles and then rely on my individual focus to make sure that anything that the game misses out of his training development, we're going to be able to fix or cover the cracks of with our individual focus, right? Do we do it like that? So let me know your thoughts on that. So let's look at the training ratings then. So my goalkeeper's got the best training rating. That isn't great, to be honest with you. Right, so yeah, if we look at this view here, the best training goes to the goalkeeper, then Victor. Like I said, it doesn't surprise me that he's the one that's been improving. So where is the player that we looked at a second ago? Terry Taylor. So, he's not currently got a rating at all. He's on the international, that's why. But he wasn't a second ago. But that is interesting. Other players, Hamer has been pretty... I tell you what, he's now finally going up on something, or it's not showing us that he's trending down because I just literally changed him to this. So maybe that is the way to go. It could just be timing. Shaughnessy's another that's been absolutely awful at this. His training rating is also shite. So do we just have a go at him? Let's have a go at Brayford. Speak about... We're going to warn you. Criticise training yet. Yeah, good. Yeah, fucking 2 right. That's what I like to see, innit? We got down to it. We talked about it for 20 minutes. We decided that I was right. Tom Hamer. Criticise training development. Yep. Yeah, good, yeah. That's more like it, innit? See, I think if this was in real life, when I go and tell a player here, like Sam Hughes, you're not training well, I'm going to get 4 or 5 excuses about why that is and blame 3 or 4 other players. Oh, this is more like it. Okay. Okay. Well, that didn't go very well. Sam Hughes ain't happy, but I'm not happy with Sam Hughes, so it's feelings mutual, Sam. There you are. Let's leave that alone for now. Let's send her a hi. Let's get Kieran, let's get you in here, mate, because you've been actually doing all right in the matches, but apparently you're not doing the business in training. Thank you, that's more like it. Good lads. Right. In terms of results off camera then, we have done pretty poorly the first 2 games off camera, then we managed to win the cup game. The 2 cup games there, I played a weakened side for both times. We did play the first game against Cambridge and we lost anyway. We lost Powell up for a few weeks, which isn't great. And apparently my best central midfielder is also out for this game. So this may not go very well. Here we go, then Oxford away. Now, I did say that the last episode would be the last episode before I got my new PC. Unfortunately, it hasn't arrived today. It's going to arrive Tuesday. Today is Friday, so it's actually going to come out today, the episode. I thought I'd release another one just before the new year comes in. So hopefully this one goes down as well as the first 2, which I thank you as well, by the way. The response was incredible on the first 2 episodes. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, I guess we're gonna see how this one goes against Oxford's. We played all right. I think the biggest problem we've got is when it becomes a bit too direct both directions and we don't score first. If we don't score first, we're in trouble, basically. System manager says, recent praise is justified, okay. They're going to apply... Oh, dear. Don't like playing it 3 at the backs at the moment. Okay, people ask for different camera angles, so I'm going to just go direct and see what happens. Throw in here. Smith throws it into Victor. Victor takes a few touches. Plays it into Shaughnessy, who gets robbed. A bit of a kick clash in it. What's going on here? Anderson runs away with it. They've got options here. Taylor N has it. He's going to whip this into the far post. Oh, no, he's got edge of the area. Can we get to this? No, don't you dare. Sam Hughes, after that chat, he's gone and sabotaged me. Sam Hughes, I might just have him off. Good, I need a good save. I'll tell you what, Sam, come and take a seat on the bench. You think what you just did. Get off the pitch. So Halayet that started off pretty high at the pitch. See, I don't like this. Stu zoomed in for me. I want to see more of the tactical element to it. Should we just go TV? It's a bit better, isn't it? Taylor N has it. Cuts it back to Finlay. Taylor. Whacked in. Oh, it's 2-0. Got a lot of players missing. Our 2 best players are missing in this game, which hasn't helped. That's why I said it was good that we got those wins early on, because I was never convinced by this team and the wins we were getting, to be fair. So, so penalty. Yes. Penalty for us. Here we go. Who's going to take it? Hopefully Victor, because he can score him. He can score him. Winnall. Scores. 2-1. We'll say, should be something else in the second half. Corner. Come on, please, boys. Make it 2-2. Oh, it's away. It's away again, but just going to get to this, though. This could still be our highlight. Let's not end it just yet. Oh, that was terrible from Butcher. Ox run away with it. Playing behind. Ndabe gets to it. Hamer gets to it. Carriol doesn't get to it, but Lakin does. Lakin's got options. Plays into Victor. Victor's in 1v1. Is he going to score it? Yes, he does. Come on. Here we go. Come on, Burton. Here we go, boys. 2-2. What a come. Wow. It's not a comeback yet because the game isn't over, but so far it's a comeback. What a ball this was, and what a touch from old Victor. This is definitely a kick clash referee. What goes the ref in? Where is he? Oh, he's in grey and black. Is he sure? Victor goes through. I mean, it's like one of the best finishes you've ever seen in your life, isn't it? It's 2-2. Going to take off Winnall. I'm going to put on Keller Dunn up front because he actually has scored a couple of games in the couple of goals, sorry, in the cup, and that is probably going to do it though, because I don't trust anybody else. Obviously, that's one of the things that you say on the sideline really quietly to the manager, so nobody else hears that. So highlight. I could have gone defensive, took the draw, but I just left it as it was, hoping that we might get the next highlight. But I was thinking maybe I should not do that. Victor's in, and he's missed it, Jeff. I mean, they've had 65% possession. What have I done? I knew I should have taken the draw. Ben Garrett's played it into Kellen Dunn, who's got it. I don't have any faith in this whatsoever. This could be anything here. Hamer, Shaughnessy, just get rid of it. That's it. Just send it into Victor. Victor flicks it into no man's land. Oh, dear. This could be an Oxford highlight. If I was a betting man in the situation, I would be saying Oxford, Gilligan, Carriol. Maybe I'm just being pessimistic because I know it's my team on the line. Oh, no, I knew it. No. Oxford have got it. Wow. Right, I'm taking the draw. No, that'll do. 2-2. I'm taking that. That's a good draw. That's a good draw for us. Especially going 2-0 down. So, there's a week between the games. You know what's coming. Custom schedules. England DNA. Thank you. Yep, this once. Nice. Okay, I'll see you in a week's time for the game against Fleetwood. Welcome back. So, we've got 2 injuries from training, which is obviously my schedule's fault, I assume. Yeah, Callum Butcher and Corey Nadab are both out for about 3 weeks, which is not great, but it's not the end of the road either. Joe Powell is out for another 2 weeks. That was from a match, though, not training. Right, so your team for Fleetwood is going to be Garrett and go with Oshalaja, Hughes, Hamer across the back, with Smith, Taylor, Shaughnessy, Carriol here, Lacking then off of Victor and Winnall up front. They're the wrong way around, actually, aren't they? Yeah, Sam Hughes. Do you notice as well, after he got subbed off, that we did pretty well defensively after that? So there you go. Let's see who plays better in this game. That'd be interesting. Assistant manager says, media comment again. Come on, assistant manager. More creativity from you, please, mate. What are they going to play against us? They're going to play a 4-2-3-1. Okay, highlight for them. They play out to that done side. They're playing to Charles, to Andrew, back to the keeper. And we look pretty well set there. Don't get ahead of him. Stay that side of him. Where are you going? Get back in here. Look at the middle centre back. What is he doing? That's better. Okay, stay the other side of him. Don't let him go behind you. Okay, well, that's fine. It's just Hughes really that winds me up when it happens to him. I feel like he does it deliberately to me sometimes. I do genuinely wonder how long is this going to take to get us to the top. I'm excited by that. I don't mean that I wonder how long. I mean that genuinely in a positive way. I wonder how long it's going to take. I'm really intrigued and interested by it because I've never done this kind of save before, which I've said many times on the series already, and I just genuinely don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm really intrigued by it though. I think one of the things I'm good at in FM is being able to put together decent squads and be in a risky way. I'll use non-promotion release clauses, relegation release clauses on players in lower leagues to get them on cheaper wages. So I think if you do that across enough players, you can get extra 4 or 5 players in your first team players in your squads. The risk is obviously you could lose them, but I always feel like that. If you go from League 2 to League 1 and then you end up losing, let's say, 2 or 3 players to the non-promotion release clause for free. I feel like at the end of that season, though, you can just get players on a free that are just as good as the players you just lost. I've always felt like that in FM, so I've never felt like it's a risk, really. I don't really feel like it's a really that big of a risk, unless they're like a top player that you've got for, 2 levels below where they should be out or something. But generally speaking, you'll always be able to get somebody who's just as good as the player you just lost. But obviously, we can't do any of that with this team. As they have the highlights early on, they hit the bar and it's cleared away. Highlight it. Smith throws it into Winnell. Winnell's got options, plays into the left centre-back who whacks it long in behind. We're going to get this back now with Smith, who's been pretty poor in every game so far on poor match ratings, and he's giving it away there, but Sam Hughes gets to it, plays into Winnell. Winnell's got the ball into Smith again, whacks it into Larkin. It hits the bar, and it's going to be cleared away. Taylor gets it, and that's the end of that. Going to take off Oshalaj. I'm going to put Shaughnessy, I think, at centre-back. I'm going to put Gilligan at right CDM. Hamer's got it and plays it into Gilligan. Gilligan plays into Carriol. Carriol has it, goes all the way through. He's going to score, surely. Yes, oh no, he's at the bar. Jeff, what's he doing? Oh yeah, the whole goal to aim at Carriol. Come on, man. Missing too many chances now. I don't like to blame strikers for missing chances because it can be a psychological block for some players, but that is a disgrace. They've gone on the right-hand side. Smith's going to get it back. He's going to play it to Victor. Whacks into Larkin. That's why he's got to be good in the air. Oh, no. Oh, no, they're in. Oh, keeper saves it. It was close. I'm not going to go 4-2-4, I don't think, and try and win the game. So I think we'll get another chance in the game at some point. But I am going to take off him because I feel like he deserves it. And we're going to throw on Elliot Thorpe. We'll put Keller Dunn at right wing back. And let's take off, maybe Shaughnessy. Left-footed centre-back in there. See if that changes anything. Yeah, let's go with that. Free kick here, Victor. This could be a goal. It's going to be close. Victor, the free kick. Is he going to score? Oh, he does. Yes, come on, Burton. They're going to surely win it now. 1-0. What a free kick from Victor. And that is going to be 1-0, and that's going to be game over. What a strike this is. You don't save those. I've got to be honest, I'm more happy just the fact that we're getting these results early because it should carry us through when we inevitably have a poor in a form. Again, that's a pretty poor performance at home. And to look at the stats, we've had an XG of 0.8 at home to Fleetwood. So I just think I can see us going on a bad run at some point. So, yeah. Now, this is good. Want to win. Result, boys. Well done. Sam Hughes played better, you see. He responded well to being subbed off in the last game. Yeah, XG finished on 0.85 for us, so we scored because of the free kick. And so that is the league table at the end of today's episode. That is really good from us, a good start. Obviously, we're pretty poor defensively. Our back three isn't really the kind of players that we want in there. It's going to be a problem for a couple of years, I reckon. But at the very least, we have got Sam Hughes and Tom Hamer, I think, are going to be good League One centre-backs. Not Championship, but League One. And if I can just keep these two and stay in League One, I think we're going to be okay. He's starting to trend up now, Sam Hughes. And interestingly, Hamer's really trending up, isn't he, after I moved him to actually work on this. So maybe that's something to look out for. That is going to end today's episode. And let's see where we're going to come back next. What do we reckon? Let's skip through a little bit. Okay, next episode then. Let's come back for Peterborough and Morecambe. The reason being, gets a few more games in. Peterborough are top of the league and away, and then Morecambe at home, who are nearly bottom. So a nice few more games into the season. We'll see how we're going, like an update episode. And the next one after that could well be then the first games in December when we've changed the training again, and we can review the training again. So I think that's really what we'll do, is we'll do like almost an update episode, just because they're top of the league. I thought it would be good to play those two there. Then we'll come back for MK Dons and Derby, I think. MK Dons are second, aren't they? So there you go. 2 good episodes coming up, hopefully there. And like I said, because it's the first season as well, and there aren't that many academy players there aren't any academy players to look at. It's going to be a little bit more of a let's play early on in the save, because we're just sort of trying to see how the tactic works and what sort of players we're going to try and develop into. We're also going to be tactically flexible depending on the players that we get through. I think this tactic will accommodate most players, but if we end up with 2 top-level fullbacks and 2 top-level wingers, they could be a bit lost, and not lost, but a bit wasted in this system by playing 2 of them as side centre-backs, 2 as wing-backs. But again, we'll have to see. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But if you hopefully enjoyed the episode, I really appreciate all the support on the series. Hopefully you're still enjoying the episodes as we go. All I can say is a massive thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.